Alright, good evening. Welcome to another late night stream. So, comparison to the other late night streams, the last days we are relatively early. It's only 20 minutes to midnight, at least around here, in the Frankfurt area of Germany. And as you see, we are doing some U-boat again. In the afternoon I did stream an old love, so maybe some of you have heard of Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, the remastered version, which came out after something like 13 years. And yeah, I really had to try it out, and I shared that on a stream, early afternoon stream. But now this is one of my regular late night slots, and as usual we are doing U-Boat, the game where we dive into the role of a German submarine commander in Second World War. And what I do is sharing with you the complete playthrough through the war. And as you see, top left, it's late January 1944. That means that we are already something like more than 4 years into the war. And since September 39, I've shared just any mission by mission with you. And yeah, at least from my side, that was a great pleasure. We had, well, good fun with the game, and I would say also good fun in the chat. Again and again, nice little discussions. So I enjoyed that so much. Thank you guys for being in the chat, for being in the stream, watching it, and particular thanks to you, my faithful little community, actually being active in the chat again and again. So, since a while I'm also streaming to YouTube, so welcome YouTube. And one excuse right away towards YouTube: I'm not gonna do any cutting, I just don't have the time. So please let yourself draw into the immersion of the complete stream of the mission. And yeah, you can fast forward, find the spots which you might like best. And meanwhile, after plenty of adventures, we ended up in the Mediterranean. By the way, you could just go anywhere. It's really an open world game. Of course, you get orders from your seniors and you should obey them, but in principle, you could just go anywhere. So we started in the very beginning of the war in the port of Wilhelmshaven with a tiny Type 2. And then carried on, fulfilled missions successfully in the North Sea and the close Atlantic, transferred to La Rochelle, were granted a Type 7 larger submarine, went far into the Atlantic, even went across the Atlantic. And after successful missions there, we did the Arctic convoy missions and then went through the Strait of Gibraltar into the Mediterranean, and this is where we are at the moment. And you see there is, well, a bit of tonnage, but not much missing for this enormous big mission set here, Battle of the Mediterranean. We are supposed to sink a total of 250,000 tons, and we are just something like 14,000 tons away from that. And we still have plenty of torpedoes in the hold. Let's check that. Yeah, okay. So 2 torpedoes missing here, and I think we already had transferred the external torpedoes internally, so 4 torpedoes fired. Stern torpedoes are still all in place. Yeah. So our last hydrophone check turned out to be a very slow-moving guy, so 100% sure this is just a fisherman. So let's change course and go a little bit further to the eastern Mediterranean. In the past, we often were lucky in running into more ships over there. In total, the Mediterranean missions are, well, relatively relaxed, and if you compare it to the Arctic convoys mission center, where I would say that was actually the hardest convoys that we ran into in the Mediterranean. Since all these weeks and months that we are cruising the Mediterranean, we only once ran into a real convoy, most of the time just running into single ships. Yeah, we're still going flank, we don't need that. So let's carry on with our ordinary patrol eastward. Discipline is fine. Yeah, we still have plenty of fuel, more than 80%. Let's have a check in the galley. 2 different types of food. That should do it at the moment. Well, we salvaged some pork, so let's add that to our diet. So the more different types of food you offer, the higher your discipline stays, but the more overall usage of food you actually do have. And the bilge, just a bit of water. Somebody please turn on the pump for a few minutes to get that water out of the bilge. That's completely uncritical. You always have, in just any ship, you have water collecting in the bilge, just like we have it here. Doesn't mean that we have any serious leak. It's morning, the sun is still on the rise, and new stream, new save. W8480, right? Yeah, we had 480 saves in this mission. In this playthrough. On we go. 10 o'clock is change of watch. Oh yeah. Shift of the time zone. Have they changed something about that? Yeah. Feels like that. Up to now you didn't have that jump in the clock, had you? However, let's do a hydrophone check, which means that the crew is going to bring the boat down to 50 meters and stay there for 5 minutes. Here you see the off-watch crew running to the front compartment, giving ballast for diving, to Two sailors man the depth steers fore and aft, and one of the officers opening the valves so that the seawater can freely stream into the ballast tanks. Yeah, here on the surface we have all the noise of the waves, and this makes the hydrophone useless, but down there at 50 meters we have quite some silence of the depth, and there we can bring the hydrophone to the bear. Beautiful graphics, the diving process.
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Engine stopped, and now here propellers are not moving anymore. Mr. Strauss
50 Meter.
at the hydrophone with the support of one crewmate,
Herr Kapitän.
Mr. Ertl actually. And here we see the enormous range of the hydrophone when submerged, which is more than 90 miles in good weather. Yeah, it's 12 knots of wind speed up there, moderate swell. If you have a gale going on up there, then this reduces your hydrophone range considerably, because all that noise is also to be heard down there.
Meter.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
55 Meter.
Yeah, let's carry on with a bit of time acceleration.
Anblasen. 35
There we go, back to the surface.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Let's carry on.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloi. Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Betrachten Sie es als erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
Navigation besetzen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Next change of watch.
Unterstützung.
And
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
let's do another hydrophone check.
50 Meter.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock night time. Yeah, the wind has freshened a bit to 13 knots.
E-Motoren wechseln. Meter.
Schraubengeräusch. 215 Grad.
All right, we have a contact. And not too far away. Medium speed, that could mean anything. So guys, fingers crossed that this is a decent merchant and not just a fisherman.
50 Meter.
Meter.
Ja.
Five minutes.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 65 Grad.
More.
Meter.
So now let's do the positive assumption that this is an ordinary merchant moving with 8 knots, and same for you.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
That's pretty unusual. The stream looks completely deserted, does it? But that's probably due to the fact that the game, football, well, it's holiday session season and it's the football match, Norway, England. I guess that 80% of the people are actually watching the match, right?
Meter.
There we go, back to the surface.
Meter.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
10 past 11. So half an hour brings us here. Let's do the next hydrophone check, so that we get another data point. I see now we do have a few people in the stream. There is always this big delay in the number of viewers that I get reported here. That's far from being real time.
5 Meter.
Yeah, great to have you in, guys. Great that you chose to watch the stream and not the football match. Or maybe you watched the football match in parallel. Well, possible.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
No.
10 Meter.
No, this is a fisherman, I'm sure.
50 Meter.
Herr Kapitän?
Just haven't moved something like 2 miles in half an hour.
Meter.
3 gewartet.
50 Meter.
Anblasen. Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
So this is 1 hour. Let's go for 2 hours and then do a hydrophone check. Hopefully we have not lost track on this contact there. So that's 2 hours, guys.
Tauchen auf.
Give me
50
the
Meter.
next hydrophone check. Ballast tanks being flooded. All right. First the fore ballast tank, and then the stern ballast tank, which does make perfect sense, of course, in this order.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5
Auf
Meter.
E-Motoren wechseln.
Yeah, down we go.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. 25 Meter.
45 Meter.
50 Meter.
They did stop the engines, didn't they? They must be there.
Meter.
Yeah, of course, there is always the possibility that the ship was sunk by another German submarine, but the submarine density in the Mediterranean is pretty low. In the North Sea and in the close Atlantic, I regularly ran into other German submarines. Which is a great feature of the game. That there is also friendly ships, submarines being simulated, and they really take part in the combat. At least once I really observed that another ship that actually I was just trying to sink it, I was having a run towards it, and then it was hit by the torpedo of another submarine. And this is real immersion.
Ja? Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 345 Grad.
So if you ask me, this could be a merchantman. 13 knots. So that guy might be moving the width something like 7 knots. So let's keep fingers crossed. That looks good. That we are following a merchantman here and not a fisherman.
Torpedorohr 3 gewartet.
Anblasen.
Right.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Kurs setzen.
Let's go for 2 hours. And then do the next hydrophone check. By the way, let's give it a save. Better safe than sorry. 20 past 1. 20 past 2.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloi.
20 past 3. And next hydrophone check.
Tauchen auf 50 Meter.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5
Auf
Meter.
E-Motoren wechseln.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. 25 Meter. 45 Meter. Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 55 Grad.
So let's see, what was it in total?
50 Meter.
13 knots. Yeah, it's definitely faster than a fisherman. And if it goes for another 13 knots, there,
Meter.
and for us it would be 32. 2 hours, 60 knots for 2 hours would be 32 miles.
50 Meter.
Ja?
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
Meter.
Anblasen. Aktuelle Tiefe 35 Meter. Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Okay, so it's 3:30, still dark. Well, it's still winter even in the Mediterranean. Let's go for another 2 hours, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. We are really going fast.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
And
Tauchen auf 50 Meter.
next hydrophone check.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter. Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
So, what's the new
25
position?
Meter.
It's 5:30, so now we are 2 hours away from sunrise, from
45 Meter.
dawn.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloi? Meter. Schraubengeräusch.
Oh yeah.
Peilung 110 Grad.
There. Pretty much where I predicted them to be.
50 Meter. Meter.
Herr Kaloi?
Anblasen. Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Yes, there they are.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Kleine Fahrt voraus. Alle Maschinen stopp.
Now what can we see by the binoculars? There is only smoke. The ship is not yet hull up. So, let's go for periscope depth.
Auf Seerohrtiefe. Herr Kaloi, wir sind auf Seerohrtiefe. Boot für Rundblick eingesteuert. Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Okay, Mr. Grade, our chief engineer,
70 Grad.
is gonna care for improved depth keeping.
Ja,
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Herr Kaloi.
Half an hour.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet. Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Betrachten Sie es als erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
Okay, so my data reckoning seems to be pretty precise. take a look at them with the periscope. It's early morning, that's good, so it's still limited visibility for them spotting my periscope, but relatively easy to spot them.
Alarm beenden.
Yeah, please step away from battle stations. Yeah, if we would give it a guess from afar, this pretty much looks like being an Empire Tower, right? T3. Mr. Schneider, please do some maintenance on Tube 3.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin. Torpedorohr 3 gewartet.
Velocity 7. So angle on bow must be something like 30 degrees at the moment.
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Gegnerlage 3-0, Bug rechts. Geschwindigkeit 7 Knoten.
Yeah, what else should it be than an Empire Tower? $50. $28 to $30.
Aktualisieren. Winkel 5-1, Bug links. Schussunterlagen aktualisieren.
And the estimated distance from that would be 360. 3,600, I mean.
Kurs setzen.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
$38, $37.
Kleine Fahrt, voraus. Langsame Fahrt voraus.
One and three.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
So here we are. 40, yeah.
Aktualisieren. Winkel. 3, 3, Bug, links.
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
Torpedorohr 3 gewartet.
Kleine Fahrt voraus.
Here, angle on bow now would still be something like 80 degrees. What about the figures? They look all right. And what about the distance according to the map? .5 miles. 1.8 plus 9 be 2.7.
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Entfernung zum Ziel. 2, 4, 3, 7 Meter. Lage 4, 0, Bug links.
Now they are coming in. It's 40 degrees. It's bearing 40 degrees. So the angle on bow of them towards us should be 50 degrees, right? Yeah. And we have that roughly.
Aktualisieren. Gegnerlage 5, 2, links. Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Entfernung 1, 8, 3, 2 Meter. Kleine Fahrt voraus.
Yeah, 1 mile, bit less than 1 mile. That's pretty consistent what we see on the map and what we see with the periscope. Okay, I think we can go with that maintenance status. Draught, let's go for 9. 8.5. 9 meters of draught. Makes sense. Hey Ike. Hi. Nice to have you in. So, what do you mean with that remark? Do you think I could improve the quality of the stream? Always thought that it was okay, but I'm always happy if I get some feedback from you, the viewers, because some things I just don't have on the radar. Are you serious about that? Actually, by the heart, I just couldn't tell you what I'm streaming at the moment. I would have to check that, and maybe right now this is a bad point in time to do that check. Maybe I'm gonna check it later what my actually streaming rate is at the moment.
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Entfernung 1, 4, 6, 4 Meter.
And the angle on bow makes perfect sense. So when our course is 90 degrees to their course, then the sum of their angle on bow on us and our bearing on them should be 90 degrees. And that looks pretty consistent at the moment.
Kleine Fahrt voraus. Schussunterlagen aktualisieren.
By the way, let's give it a save.
2, 6, 7 Meter.
And let's check once more. Yeah, great. Okay, I think I'm gonna use torpedo 1, 2, and 3. They are in the best maintenance status.
Aktualisieren. Entfernung 1, 2, 7 Meter.
No.
Rohr 1 bewässern. Los. Rohr 2 bewässern. Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Lage 8, 9 links. Los. Ja.
At the moment, I would say this looks good. We just have to have fingers crossed that it's not gonna be a dud. Or is it passing in front of their bows? It might. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is gonna be a close one. Ah! Okay, that was serious damage. It exploded underneath the keel, probably underneath the engines. Maybe the boilers went right away.
Kurs setzen. Halbe Fahrt voraus.
Rohr 1 geladen.
Yeah, it's listing already. Is the propeller still moving? Come on. Can't believe that they are still moving like that.
Ja.
Yeah, I can't believe that they make it like that. But it looks like they are still moving.
Rohr 2 geladen.
Die Besatzung evakuiert das Schiff.
Very good. The crew is evacuating. So the engine has stopped.
Alle Maschinen, stopp! Deine Fahrt voraus. Anblasen.
Let's get to the surface and see what the situation is.
10 Meter.
Mr. Grade, relax. Mr. Schulz as well.
Sie gehen unter.
Wow, yeah.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln. Alle Maschinen, stopp!
Pretty much looks like that they broke apart, didn't they? Yes. Yeah, give it a save. And let's give it a report to the headquarters. So we have to man the radio.
Funkraum besetzen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Lifeboat 1 and lifeboat 2. 1, 2 officers. And what about... Yeah, let's get the dried fish on board. Salvage some food.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
Some provisions.
Navigation besetzen.
Jawohl, ich kümmere mich darum.
So, bosun, the bosun, please get the fish and bring it to the galley or the stores. Okay, Mr. Hinrich, you can turn in again. Radio message sent.
Herr Kapitän? Bestätige. Betrachten Sie es als erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
And exotic fruits, let's get them as well.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloi.
So where are we in terms of this overall sub-campaign Battle of the Mediterranean? 24,000 tons, so a bit less than another 5,000 tons. So we are so very close to finishing this scenario.
Bestätige. Bestätige.
Now, what about the torpedoes? They are reloaded. We still have a few. Come on, let's carry on. We might still run into more enemies.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Kurs setzen. Navigation besetzen.
Discipline is fine.
Halbe Fahrt
Let's
voraus.
just move on. Now give it a save and then we'll be on the way to carry on with the patrol. We still have 4 torpedoes left. That should be sufficient for attacking 2 or 3 more ships.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Herr Kaloi?
Let's do another hydrophone check.
50 Meter. Meter. E-Motoren wechseln.
Meter.
45 Meter.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
Yeah, we have almost reached our goal for this scenario. For the Mediterranean scenario. Almost 250,000 tons. Just one ship, maximum 2 ships, and we will have that one.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet. Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
So, hydrophone checking.
Anblasen.
35
Nothing.
Meter.
But, yeah, that's how it
50
is.
Meter.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht. Wird erledigt, Herr Kaloy. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Jawohl, ich kümmere.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Bestätige.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Navigation besetzen.
And let's go for the next hydrophone check.
50 Meter.
We just need one more kill. To have the Battle of the Mediterranean done.
Herr Kaloy? Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Meter. 50 Meter.
So, Mr. Hinrich, please check carefully. Any moving propellers in the range?
Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
Anblasen.
Obviously not.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Let's give it another save. What about the fuel? Yeah, still plenty of fuel in the stores. 75% of fuel left, so that's completely uncritical. Same for the discipline, it's fine. Although we already have a fatigue level of -8. So our last shore leave is already quite some time ago. But Yeah, we could still handle that fatigue level, obviously.
Zeit für eine Auszeit.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
And next, hydrophone check.
50 Meter.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5
Auf
Meter.
E-Motoren wechseln.
Herr Kapitän. Schraubengeräusch. 330 Grad.
So guys, fingers crossed that this is not a fisherman.
25 Meter.
Herr Kaloi. Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter. Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 65
5
Grad.
gewartet.
Okay, more propeller noise there.
50 Meter.
Wow, hey, Captain Adonis. Nice to have you in. That's great. Thank you very much for the raid. The stream is so quiet tonight. I just have 2 or 3 or 4 people in the stream. So I think, what about you?
50 Meter.
Do you also recognize that we have that, that issue with the football match? I mean, it's holiday season, and at the same time, there is that football match, Norway against English. That's good. That's good.
Aktuelle Tiefe.
Yeah, my stream is pretty quiet tonight. Usually it's more busy, but tonight it's really quiet. And I was hoping that it maybe is just due to the football match, which is in parallel. But I think it should be done by now. Does anybody
55
have it on the radar what the result was of Norway against England? Yeah, but Captain Adonis, it's so great. Much appreciated to have you in. And Skypager, thank you very much for the follow. That's just great. How was your stream, Captain Adonis? Did you sink a few tons tonight? So, guys, I am in the Mediterranean. It's the January, late January of 1944, so we are a lot of tons, yeah, that's good to hear. So I just had a 4,000 tons Empire Tower being sunk, and yeah, I'm doing this Battle of the Mediterranean thing, and we are very close to finish it. Would be great if we could manage to finish it tonight. And just right now we had 2 contacts. that guy and that guy. So maybe we are gonna do it. So please have your fingers crossed together with me that these guys are no fishermen. The fishermen are a bit of a pain in the ass in the Mediterranean. They're so abundant. Yeah, well, pretty late. I never went so far into the war. I'm playing the game since something like 5, 6, or 7 years. I'm not quite sure, but this is the very first time that I went so far. When I did earlier do some campaign play in the game, it only brought me to something like 41 or so. Yeah, not further. So 44 is great, and now it really looks like that with this campaign. We might actually end. Go till the end of the war. When we are finished here with the Mediterranean campaign, I think I'm gonna go for the last stand out there.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
And here we are back to the surface. Let's first go for that guy. Let's go flank speed. And do some assumptions. Let's assume that this guy is just an ordinary merchant man moving with something like 8 knots. And us chasing him with roughly 16 knots. It's 3:10. Let's give it a save. W481. And do a little bit of time acceleration. Hey, Nico Core, thank you very much for the follow. That's very much appreciated. Hey, Captain Adonis, you brought a few guys who are pretty enthusiastic about UBOAT. Looks like that. It's a pleasure to have you in, guys. So never hesitate to put some comments into the chat. I'm always curious on feedback. I mean, don't feel pushed. It's perfectly fine if you just lurk and watch silently, but, well, I pretty much enjoy having a little chat as well. Always curious what your experience with the game is. Are you, like me, some guy playing the game since the very beginning? Or are you new? Or yes. Yeah, that's great. Nico. Hi, by the way. Welcome to the chat. So now we went for 1 hour. Let's go for a hydrophone check to get a second data point on each of these contacts. Particularly this one. So this is just an assumption, of course. If this guy is an ordinary merchantman, after 1 hour, he should be somewhere on this circle, if we assume that it would move with around 8 knots. So now, with the second data point we are getting from our hydrophone check right now, we will be able to get a good picture of their speed and course. Yeah, there is this feature in the periscope where you can estimate the speed of ships, but I never really managed that one. I would be very curious on what you think about that tool. I mean, this stopwatch
350 Grad.
25
thing
Meter.
where you measure the time, how long it takes the ship to pass from bow to stern through your optics. And I always feel that it's complete nonsense what I get there, and the only reliable estimation of the enemy's ships I actually draw from these figures doing regular hydrophone checks in 1 hour distance, time distance, and then get a good picture of their speed. Yeah, I'm actually playing on relatively high difficulty levels, so I have to figure it out by myself. I can't just let the crew do it.
55 Meter.
But yeah, I don't know, this timer somehow is pretty unreliable, I would say.
Herr Kapitän?
Oh no, that doesn't look good. If the guy has moved only that bit of way, just 4 miles,
Meter.
this guy is definitely just a fisherman. Yeah, even the crew, yeah. So we don't have to follow that guy any further, but let's see if we get some results from this one.
Tiefe 55 Meter.
After 1 hour, if it were a decent merchant, it should be there. So, I think, did I ask already? Does anybody of you guys watch the football match, Norway, England, in parallel? I would be very curious about the outcome. I think it started at 11 o'clock of our time around here, Berlin time. Well, actually, I am streaming from the Frankfurt area, but of course it's just Berlin time. Come on, I'm gonna check that briefly.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Okay. It's 1-1. So probably they are going into the, I don't know what that is called in English, the Nachspielzeit. Must have been a pretty dense match, I get. Yeah, around here it was not transmitted in free TV, so this is why we didn't watch it actually. Yeah, but is it finished by now? Is there a result? The latest what I get from my newspaper stream that I have in parallel is that it is still undecisive with a 1-1. But maybe that one is not so much up to date. Looks like we don't get any signal out of these guys there at the moment.
macht die beste Sauerkrautsuppe. Das hier ist gut, aber es ist nicht dasselbe.
Hey, this conversation, I think I never had that before. About kraut soup or kraut stew.
Anblasen.
Did you hear that? The guy was just thinking aloud that his wife does the best kraut stew. Cabbage.
45 Meter.
So kraut is white cabbage in English? Not quite sure. Ah, okay, they are doing penalties already. Oh, yes. Penalties, that's always
Aktuelle Tiefe 25 Meter.
so much of a gamble.
Meter.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Oh, yes, so we didn't get any signal from these guys. And now, assume we are going to do the hydrophone check after 2 hours. Now it's 4:20. Let's carry on for another 2 hours. Yes. 1 hour,
Jawohl, weiter geht's.
2 hours, and let's do the hydrophone check. Let's hope that we didn't lose these guys
Tauchen auf. 50
and that we can pick up the signal again. Yeah, the Germans were unlucky against Paraguay in penalties.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter. Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloi?
25 Meter.
Nah, I did it for 2 hours, so by now
45 Meter.
Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 330 Grad.
okay, now I'm curious.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
Oh, well,
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
that looks more like a slow mover. Probably a fisherman, but I'm not quite sure at the moment. Let's follow him
Kurs
and see.
Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised that the Norwegian guys do so well. I mean, they have Haaland, but just one good guy doesn't make a good team, so they must have quite a few other good guys there.
besetzen.
So 6:30.
2 gewartet.
Herr Kapitän?
Anblasen.
Back to the surface.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
Navigation besetzen.
So, Mr. Grad, it's your off watch, but I need you at the engines, nevertheless. Sorry. Yeah, of course, Nico. Don't hesitate. Questions are always welcome. Don't know if I can answer it. I'm playing the game since years, but nevertheless I often find out that there is still stuff that I couldn't just answer right away, but yeah. Well, maybe that's a bit of an understatement. I think usually I can answer most of the questions. Let's see. Now, next hydrophone check.
50 Meter.
Yeah, good point. That's a good point. I think nothing. I think it is only relevant if you would actually promote a sailor to an officer, which you can do. But yeah, in the late game, this is something I think that they should kind of change the balancing of the game a bit. Like, look at how many officers I do have. And here, Albert Vogel. I think, I'm not quite sure, but I think you could promote. I think you could at least maybe when you're at port, you could promote a crewmates to officers, and then only then the level already gives you additional perks, skills. That's my interpretation. I actually never tried it. The point is that you always have loads of officers available. So.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5
Auf
Meter.
E-Motoren wechseln.
But it would be great if they would implement something in the game which would make these levels, yeah, more useful. Yeah, that's
25
my hypothesis, to put it like that.
Meter.
Herr Kapitän?
Yeah, I was pretty unsure even how they actually get these promotions, but I guess that when the sailors actually assist officers in doing stuff like repairing holes or firing the deck gun, that they get
55
a little bit of experience as well. Yeah, that's right. A foreign language academy would be great. Because this is sometimes pretty ugly when you don't have any sailor on board who does speak the language of the ship that you are boarding. Yeah, yeah, good point. Yeah, what you say pretty much casts some light on your skill level in the game.
Peilung 75
So,
Grad.
when you think about these things, I think that shows that you are playing the game since a long time and are pretty much of an expert already. Oh, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. Might be that this is just another fisherman. Yeah. Pretty sure in 2 hours this guy was only moving 9 miles, so
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
yeah, I think you're referring to that situation, right? When you board a ship and then you have to kind of put some pressure onto the captain and can't do it because of the language barrier. Hey, weight loss! Long time no see. You haven't been in the last 2 streams, I think. So it's perfectly fine. I was just kind of surprised. So, a pleasure to have you in. We are just about to finish this overall semi-campaign here. Just missing another, 10,000 tons. But we just ran into 2 ships, this one and that one, and they both turned out to be fishermen. Yeah, we just got a nice raid of Captain Adonis. He came in with 12 guys, and Nico was one of them. The stream was pretty quiet tonight. Maybe due to the football match, due to holiday season, I don't know. Yesterday and the day before yesterday was already relatively quiet as well, but not as quiet as tonight. So the English won. I don't have the result yet. So the British finally won the penalty. Okay. Oh. Oh, whoa, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I have sympathy for the English, but Norway is kind of an outsider. They have Haaland, and maybe Haaland is not that much of a nice guy. I don't know. Yeah, maybe he is, but from what you see of him on the I wanted to say battlefield on the square, he doesn't look like being the guy I would like to have a drink with. But in principle, I know that the Norwegian people are pretty nice people, And I
Aktuelle Tiefe 45
have a good old school friend who is living in Norway since many years, having visited him south of Oslo 2 years ago.
25 Meter.
Yeah, this is something that you could say.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
I mean, the French team is great, and for me, it's perfectly fine if they are put together from different nationalities and cultures. But yes, that's a bit of a difference. Yep. I think I'm gonna turn back. I have fulfilled our mission a long time ago already. I was just trying to
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
put my remaining torpedoes to useful, to some use. Yeah, I watched the match of Belgium against, what was it, Spain, right?
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
So now after the match is finished, maybe we get a few more people in the stream. I have a hell lot of work for next week, so I'm a bit hesitant, but I think I could still do maybe 1 more hour of streaming. But tomorrow I still have to prepare quite some stuff. So next week will be pretty busy, and after that it might be a little bit relaxed at work. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Remember the movie with Robin, not Robbie, but Robin Williams? Oh, Captain, my Captain, great movie. But you don't need to call me like that. I'm perfectly fine if you just call me Josh. Yeah, it's the Dead Poets Society. The movie, great one. I have to admit that I never read the poem, and I have to admit that I forgot whose poem that was taken from. Ah, Walt Whitman, okay. I think I haven't been reading a lot of English speaking poets. I've been doing some Robert Burns, but not much more. So it's more prose. I've been reading a lot of English language prose. I love Hemingway. I have been reading that first book of John Steinbeck about that pirate. Quite like Joseph Conrad, but I've never been reading much of British poetry or US poetry, I have to admit. Oh, Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every wreck. The prize we sought is won. The port is near. The bells are here. The people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh heart, 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 oh bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies fallen cold and dead. You could be forgiven to think that it is a Brit. Ah, yeah, okay. That's your comment finally. Is it about Nelson? Could be. I mean, he finally didn't die on the deck, at least not on the quarter deck. I think they put him down to the orlop. But down there he died. There is this famous picture about Nelson dying. Ah, okay, all right, about Lincoln. Yeah, but it's not about the helmsman, Mr. John Maynard. Okay, yeah, Nico, it was a pleasure to have you in, and thank you very much for the follow. Would be great to have you back in the stream. So have a good night and have a good Sunday tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Halbe Fahrt voraus.
Yeah, let's give it a save right away and then head back home. Yeah, that's right. I mean, a German poem about a helmsman called John Maynard who sailed the Lake Erie from Detroit to Buffalo. Yeah, Theodore Fontana did quite some traveling, actually, I think. He actually went to the US. He also went to Scotland. I think there is also some pretty famous poem of Theodore Fontana about some Scottish loch or something. I love that poem about John Maynard. But on the other hand, I once tried to read a novel of Theodore Fontana, and yeah, it was not quite in my wheelhouse. It was Effie Breast, actually, but I didn't finish it. I didn't quite like it. I think I only went half through. But the poem of John Maynard, that's a great poem. On the other hand, funny coincidence is that there is a famous, how do you call it, a social scientist called John Maynard. But that was probably later, I guess. Not quite sure when that guy did live, but I always guessed that it was after the poem of John Maynard was done. which was, I don't know, in the 1880s or something. I have no idea. Just some more or less educated guess.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle. Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
Deckgeschütz besetzen.
No,
Navigation
please.
besetzen.
Don't do it like that. We don't need the deck gun. We don't even have any ammo for the deck gun.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
And here we are, and let's do another hydrophone check. Here we go. And please excuse me.
50 Meter.
Sea power, yeah. Yeah, actually I didn't yet manage to, convince me to put that money in and buy it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should get the game, but I'm still a bit reluctant because if I remember back to Cold Waters, I always have Cold Waters in the back of my mind. I found the concept of Cold Waters so fascinating, but it just didn't bring me the fun in the gameplay. And this is somehow what I fear, that this would be the same for Sea Power. Being a great game, fascinating, but maybe not quite up my alley.
Meter.
Yeah, thinking about re-enlisting. Yeah. Yeah, this is something that that is always to be sensed. You are pretty torn apart. I mean, you had your reasons for getting out of the Navy, but on the other hand, you still love it, don't you?
Meter.
Yeah, let's travel back home, and on the way back home to do frequent hydrophone checks and see if we get any contacts.
Meter. Aktuelle Tiefe 50 Meter.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, I'm sure you had good reason to decide what you did decide. I'm pretty sure that there are other things. But yeah, you have good memories in total. So that's a good thing. So that is what I read out of your comments, that you're not kind of grumpy or something. But usually you just think back positive. I just remember that you were once or twice talking about an officer, that you had a superior of yours who was a bit weird. And that's important. That's important, not to be grumpy, even if you have parts in your life or a period which was, well, partly good and maybe there were not so good things. It's always good not to become grumpy about it, but kind of, well, no, I'm talking like, yeah, I don't want to give any advice in life or something. I'm definitely not that much of an expert in terms of life. I just have it the same way for myself. There are parts, when I look back, they were great, and other parts which were not. I've been going through a few companies, and I had beautiful companies, beautiful teams, and I also had companies which were just a bunch of assholes. So that's my part where I have to try to be not too grumpy about looking back at these periods, because even there were nice guys, nice colleagues. Even though the assholes did dominate. Come on, would be nice to get some contact, but allow me to be AFK just for a minute. I need to get another sip of water. All right. Thanks for your patience. Here I am back again. I'm still on hydrophone check. Oh, what's this? So this row of offices is not there anymore. Is there any key? Did I press the wrong key, or why did they vanish? Also, this one is weird.
Anblasen.
Not good.
45 Meter.
Yeah, there we have that sound of air whistling into the ballast tanks.
25 Meter.
Let's give it a save. Or maybe better a new save. W482.
Aktuelle Tiefe 20 Meter.
Any idea which button I do have to press to get the offices back down there like I have them here?
Wir sind aufgetaucht.
What about the controls? Keyboard.
Herr Kapitän,
Herr Kaloy? Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloy?
wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloy?
Okay,
Kapitän,
let's load. Or maybe I have to briefly step out of the game and step back in. Let's see. Yep, got some water to dilute my wine with it. So cheers, guys. Having Weißweinschorle. Yep, yeah, exactly. And it's getting pretty warm again around here. Yeah. Well, actually, the area where I grew up, we were beer drinkers, 100% beer drinkers. But now I live here in an area since, yeah, almost 10 years or something in the Frankfurt area. And I'm living west of Frankfurt where you have this, yeah, it's actually a wine region. So I kind of shifted my habits from drinking beer to drinking wine. And as I still have that pace of beer drinking, it's always good to dilute the wine a bit with water, because if you drink the wine with the pace of beer, you actually end up, yeah, pretty happy. Okay, so, hey, I still don't have the faces. Weight loss, do you have any idea? What have I done wrong so that I don't have the faces of the officers anymore in this view? Press M. Yeah, here I have them. But if I press another M, back here I should have them as well. I remember that months ago I had that problem again already once, but I really don't remember. Okay, double click.
Kaloy?
Yeah, okay, nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, there you see that you're a real expert of the game. Nice. Thank you very much. Some nice workaround. Common bug, yeah. Hey, I love that. That's just great.
Tauchen auf. 50 Meter.
Oh, now I pressed H and it gives me the hydrophone check, which I don't want to have. Yeah, I think we can carry on.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Betrachten Sie es als erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
Navigation besetzen.
Let's go until 10 o'clock and then we are gonna do another hydrophone check.
Tauchen auf. 50 Meter.
Yeah, that would be pretty straightforward, but yeah, it ordered the hydrophone check. The moon is shining, shimmering, reflecting on the relatively flat surface of the sea. It's just 5 knots of wind speed. The sea is completely calm in the moonlight. So we are so close in finishing this sub-campaign. But now it's just a matter of luck or bad luck whether we run into more ships on the way back home. Ships which are actually not just fishermen. Yeah, the stream is relatively quiet tonight. I thought it was because of the football match, but also yesterday and the day before yesterday it was just, yeah, much less busy than it used to be. Don't know if it's due to holiday season, or maybe there were games, football matches going on in parallel, which I didn't have on the radar. But yeah, today I actually did a daytime stream. I don't know if you've seen it. I've been streaming Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, this remake of that 13-year-old game. And I loved the game, so I'm actually, yeah, let's see if I find now and then a little bit of time left to stream that Black Flag. Hey Colin, good evening. So I was wondering whom you were crossing fingers for the Norwegians or for the English, from your Scottish point of view.
Tauchen auf. 50 Meter.
Hey, Holiday Punch. We all speak German and Norwegian. Yeah, good point. Yeah. So the English were quarreling around with the Scots all the time, and the Norwegians, that were the guys, the Normans and the Vikings, who gave the English a hard time. Yeah. So, big question. Who? On what side? Okay. Yeah. Anyone but England. So, anyone but the Sassenachs, if I pronounce it right. I like the English guys just as well. And I'm not saying that to just satisfy everybody in the stream. I pretty much like the English kind of way of life, and but well, you know that my sympathy is even much closer to the Scottish, having spent a year of my life in Edinburgh, holidays, hiking holidays additionally. And yeah, I had just been talking about Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and there is this main character, and this main character in Black Flag, he's from Wales originally. Just like Henry Morgan, the famous pirate of the Caribbean. Okay, so what were the matches that you were watching in rugby? If I remember right, the Scottish do play rugby as well, the French do play rugby, the South Americans do play rugby, the Italians. Who are the big rugby nations? Ah, yeah, and they do as well. The Kiwis, yeah.
Anblasen.
Aktuelle Tiefe 35 Meter.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Yeah, we are, of course.
Zeit für eine Auszeit.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
We just don't find any contacts.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Nevertheless, let's try again. Let's do another hydrophone check.
Meter.
Yeah, well, this is when La Rochelle is not available anymore. I guess this is what you're referring to, right? Holiday Punch. So my hope is that I could still go for La Rochelle as a home port and then do the Last Stand mission. We are not so far away. We have almost finished that one. 240,000 tons of 250,000 tons. So that's my hope that within the next few weeks we will be able to get out of the Mediterranean again. But I don't want to get out of the Mediterranean without having finished that one.
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Yeah, but probably at that time it might have been pretty tricky to get torpedoes and equipment to La Rochelle, I guess.
50 Meter.
Yep, fuel, yeah.
Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
So, any contacts?
Meter.
Yeah, the fuel. So they were very inventive to get fuel out of coal, for example. Yeah, well, the V2 was green. Was it based on hydrogen? Yeah. Yeah, if you look at the big picture, it just turned out that it is a shitty idea to want to rule the world, right? Bioethanol, yeah. Yeah, for me it's always this question: why don't you just leave your neighbors alone and let them do their thing? On the other hand, it's pretty great that the Allies, particularly the US people, didn't just let us do their thing. So maybe on a second thought, my statement is not so good, because finally, looking back, I'm pretty glad that the US people actually interfered and helped to put a stop on what was going on in Germany. Who are the Springboks? Is it South America? Is South America the Springboks? Or is it Switzerland? South Africa, okay, yep. Yeah, so yeah, the Germans were pretty inventive. They had the wonder weapons, but they just didn't have the resources
Anblasen.
to really produce them in numbers.
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Yeah, I mean the Boers, yep.
Meter.
Yeah, it sounds German, but in principle I think it's more Dutch, isn't it? Like the Boers, for example, you spell it with the OA, and in the Netherlands, in Dutch, the OA is pronounced like a U. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think not so much today, but in the centuries, or no, sorry, in the decades after the war, I think it was pretty common in Germany that there were these discussions about, well, if we would have done this or that, we would have won the war. But, well, looking back from nowadays, I would say, whatever you would have done, fuck it. Just good that we didn't win the war. No, I wasn't aware of that. Wasn't aware of that. I just remember that my father, he never wanted to travel to the Netherlands because, well, my father was actually born in the war, at the end of the war. I think when the war ended, he was something like 4 years old, I don't know. And he was pretty pissed off that whenever his generation was traveling to the Netherlands, the Dutch guys were always pushing him. That was at least his feeling. That the Dutch guys just didn't like the Germans. And so on the other hand, his attitude was, so hey, I don't know, I have no responsibility for what my parents did in the Second World War, so please don't hate me for that. Nowadays, my feeling is that we are beyond that. So younger people from the Netherlands don't hate the Germans. Same in France. And that's good. But back then, in the generation of my father, he really, yeah, at least that's what he felt. That he was not welcomed in the Netherlands as a German. And so his attitude was, I'm not gonna go there. Yeah, all these tiny little things about power.
Melde mich zum Dienst.
Okay, another hydrophone check.
Navigation besetzen.
Shall we? Let's go for another 2 hours and then 9 o'clock. Here we are, and now let's give it another hydrophone check.
50 Meter.
Would be just too great if we would sink one more ship, which would kind of, yeah, we still have almost 10,000 tons, haven't we? Yeah, a little bit less than 10,000 tons, so that would have to be a big tanker to get that done with just one sinking.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Yeah, well, they got replaced, but on the other hand, they were Europe's dominated land power a while.
Meter.
Yeah. The May 262, that's this rocket-driven delta wing plane, isn't it?
50 Meter.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
We have a contact. So let's get rid of these disturbing contacts. And maybe we're lucky.
Vor 4 gewartet.
Let's figure out if this guy is gonna be a merchantman or a fisherman.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Medium speed.
50 Meter.
Ja,
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Now again, let's assume that these guys are ordinary merchantmen. They might move with something like 8 knots.
55 Meter.
Um,
10 Grad.
to be honest, I don't quite get your point, weight loss.
Herr Kapitän.
Okay. Yeah, Colin, so I was wrong about that. I'm not that much of an expert. So which one was the one that was mentioned before? Ah, this is what you mean, right? That you can do it like that. Yeah, okay, alright. Wasn't aware of that. Let's give it a save. Yeah. Yeah, there are these tiny things. In a game which, I mean, we are complaining now and then about things which we would love to have the developers implemented. But in total, the game is pretty great. Yeah, I think when you're at sea, you actually have to do the distances in miles and nautical miles. So this is what pisses me off a bit. When you go to the periscope and do the distance measuring, you still get that in meters. And that's a bit of an annoyance that you always have to do the calculation between meters there and miles on the map. But nevertheless, I never could get myself doing the distances on the map, not in nautical miles. Sorry guys. AFK just for 1 minute. Alright, back again. So some commands, give me a minute. Distance in kilometers and speed in knots. Oh, that's a pain in the ass.
Anblasen.
Yeah, holiday punch, yeah, of course. The submarine, it's fascinating, but I think none of us would really have liked to do that service back then, yep.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloin?
25 Meter.
Oh, another one. Lots of contacts, actually.
E-Motoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Let's delete those contacts that we don't need or which are outdated. Back to the surface.
Äußerste Kraft voraus.
So sorry guys, I need one of you. Mr. Grade, it's your off watch, but I want to have you man the diesel so that we can go flank speed.
Kurs setzen.
Jawohl, ich kümmere mich darum.
Rule Britannia, Britannia, rule the waves. We will never, never, never will be slaves or something like that. So guys, I look at the time, it's 2:30 and the stream is already almost 3 hours old. And yeah, thank you very much. I'm gonna stop it, call it a day for now. As I said, I do have to do a bit of work tomorrow for next week. It's gonna be a busy one. That island of Argentina. Do you refer to the Falklands? Yeah, that was great. So the stream was very, very unbusy in the beginning, and then we had that beautiful raid of Captain Adonis. And Nico, I think you went to bed, but it was a pleasure to have you. And Sky Pager gave me a follow just as well. That's much appreciated. And of course, Captain Adonis giving me the raid. And you guys, that was a great pleasure after. In the beginning, the stream was so quiet. I was pretty happy to have you guys back in the stream. Holiday Punch, Weight Loss, Colin. Whom did I forget? Yeah, so. Always great to have you in. So, gonna call it a day. Thanks for the nice evening and have a good night. By the way, I think my next stream would actually be just the regular stream on Thursday night. Probably no stream before. Let's see. If I could afford to do one more, we'll see, but probably not that week. Maybe the week after. Things might get a little bit more relaxed. So, bye-bye guys, and see you.